a deadly mortar attack on the Somali parliament building in Mogadishu. A new study aims to empower women to protect themselves from HIV infection. And when popping the question isn't enough, the latest trend in wedding preparation. Africa 54 starts right now.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Vincent Makori. This is Africa 54. Tonight, residents in Somalia are on edge after a mortar attack near the nation's parliament building in Mogadishu killed 4 people and injured at least 8 others. A police spokesman says that Thursday's attack appears to be the work of the terrorist group Al-Shabaab. However, there was no immediate claim of responsibility after the explosions. Now, meanwhile, Somali President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud says nearly 200 Kenyan soldiers were killed when Islamist militants attacked an African Union base in southwestern Somalia last month. President Mohamud discussed the casualties during an interview with a Somali television channel late Wednesday when asked why he attended a memorial ceremony for the soldiers in Kenya. Well, United Nations Chief Ban Ki-moon is meeting with South Sudanese President Salva Kiir in Juba Thursday. His visit comes as opposing groups in the South Sudan peace process prepare to form a unity government mandated by the peace deal they signed last summer. After 2 years of civil war, opposition leader Riek Machar and President Kiir inked the pact in August, agreeing to run a unity government for 30 months before holding elections. Kiir appointed Machar as his vice president last week, and the first step toward forming the unity government. More than 2 million displaced by the violence that has killed tens of thousands of people. Well, a short while ago, the South Sudan opposition leader and Vice President Riek Machar had a conversation with the UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. Mr. Machar now joins us by phone from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Mr. Vice President, after speaking with Mr. Ban today, do you feel like you've set everything ready to go back to Juba and form this government of unity?
Well, I assured the Secretary General of the UN, Mr. Ban Ki-moon, that I'm ready to go to Juba as soon as the initial phase of the security arrangements are put in place. So I'm ready to go to Juba. I assured him that. And we're just waiting for the transportation of the troops that should go to Juba. These are security elements according to the agreement. So now, I'm ready to go. Yeah. And I was also happy that he assured me that once we form the government of national unity, he, the Secretary General, will assist in mobilizing resources for the government to function smoothly.
Mm-hmm. Now, earlier on you had said that you wanted also to see that South Sudan troops that were on the streets were cleared from the streets. Is that something that has been done, or is that promised to be done soon?
This has been promised. The demilitarization of Juba is also one aspect of implementing the security arrangements. So I'm hoping that before our security elements get to Juba, the Juba will be demilitarized, except for the forces that are stipulated in the agreement will remain in Juba.
Now, Dr. Machar, are you going back next week, as you mentioned somewhere? Will you be in Juba with the name of members of the cabinet of the new unity government?
Yeah, I said I will go to Juba in March. It could be next week. It could be also the second week, because it is now dependent on the deployment of the security forces according to the agreement. And definitely, yes, I will go to Juba with an initial list of our members to the transitional government of national unity. But I hope to also have time to consult with our members who are already in Juba, our advanced team, and also with the rest of South Sudanese on the formation of the government. And finally, we'll sit with President Kiir and form the government.
Yes. Now, very quickly, what is your reaction to the threat of sanctions against you and President Kiir by the U.S.?
Well, I don't see a reason why there would be sanctions on me in particular. I am a victim. I am a victim of the massacre that happened in Juba, 2013. So I see no reason why I would be sanctioned. But all in all, what will the sanctions serve if the two leaders are sanctioned? It would just complicate matters.
Mm-hmm. Well, Dr. Machar, thank you very much for talking to us today. That's opposition leader and Vice President Riek Machar of South Sudan, speaking to us on the phone from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Well, to West Africa now, in Niger, President Mamadou Issoufou is maintaining his lead in the latest results released from Niger's Electoral Commission. Issoufou has about 37% of the vote. Opposing candidate Hama Hamadou is in second place with 22%, followed by Seni Oumarou with 14%. President Issoufou ran for a second five-year term on a promise to crush Islamist militants and step up development in one of the world's poorest countries. On Tuesday, a coalition of opposition parties rejected the official tallies as fraudulent. The head of the coalition, Ahmadou Cissé, says the government invented thousands of polling stations to skew the results. Well, for the latest on Niger's presidential election, viewers Nicolas Pignol joins us live via Skype from Niger's capital, Niamey. Nicolas, first tell us these accusations about cooked-up results. To what extent are these causing tensions in the country?
Good evening, Vincent. As you mentioned, the opposition leaders claim that more than 2,000 fraudulent polling stations in the country, but so far the Electoral Commission has denied such allegation. We know that we had many delays here during the vote last Sunday, and we had to extend the voting operations on Monday. But the missions from AU or ECOWAS, they all said everything was very peaceful and transparent. So we have tensions here because obviously the opposition is not going to accept a win at the first round of President Issoufou, but to have evidence of fraud is more difficult for them to back from some of their allegations.
But do the citizens seem to be overly concerned about the possibility of the opposition rejecting the entire process?
Yes, they are, because first of all, we have to admit that 4 days after the vote, we still don't have the full result. And it's a first here in Niamey. Everybody is saying that in the street, and everybody is very concerned, especially tomorrow is Friday. Obviously, it's a big day for the Muslim. It's a big Muslim country. So some people, they're concerned that, after the prayer, maybe you might have some protest. Because obviously tonight should be the night where the Electoral Commission is going to announce the results. And if President Issoufou is declared the winner after this first round, I mean, obviously we might have tension here in Niamey.
Okay, Nico, thank you very much. We're running a little into trouble with that. Skype, thanks a lot. Nicolas Pignol, Voice of America, reporting live via Skype from Niger. Now to the European migrant crisis. Staggering under the growing burden, European countries are looking for ways to halt the massive influx of migrants. Many Western European countries now say they will only allow Syrian and Iraqi migrants from war-torn areas. This decision has left many Afghans and North Africans stranded on the Balkan route. Viewers Zlati Tahok reports.
Most of the people in this North Macedonian camp are from Afghanistan. The decision to limit transit to people from Iraq and Syria spells disaster for this group of 700.
We have pregnant women, we have child, we have lame people.
We have pregnant women, we have children, we have lame people. I hope the people of Serbia will open the border to let us go and live in a secure place.
We live in one security place.
Syrians who do make it through the border and head west can run into a similar situation at the Serbian border with Croatia, where rules for crossing are getting tougher.
Said there are a new question to ask you about why you coming to Germany for study, for the economic, or maybe to work. Well, we tell them we escaped from Syria because the war, all the war. We need the peace, only the peace.
As the bottlenecks grow, authorities in the Balkan countries are at their wits' end.
The refugees' registration papers have now expired. These are documents that are valid for just 72 hours. For these people who are trapped here, the best thing would be a solution from direct talks between Serbia, Macedonia, and the authorities in Brussels.
Officials from the Balkan countries met Wednesday in Vienna on the crisis, angering the Greeks who were not invited. During a visit to Athens, a United Nations official called on the European countries to cooperate.
It is very important that all the countries that have reacted in this country-by-country way, in this instinctive way, by closing borders, think carefully about it. The response is not closures, it's cooperation.
Athens is also lashing out at Turkey for permitting migrants to cross the sea into Greece. This year alone, about 100,000 migrants and refugees have traveled to Greek islands from Turkey. Ankara says it is unable to slow the tide without help from the European Union. Turkey is already hosting about 2.5 million refugees, making it the country with the world's largest refugee population. Zlatica Hoke, VOA News, Washington.
Well, political conflict in Africa is prompting experts to dig deeper into the connection between money and instability and propose solutions. Africa 54's Esther Githuo has our report.
At a forum held at the U.S. Institute of Peace in Washington, D.C., panelists discussed renewed violence in South Sudan, Somalia, Eritrea, and other parts of the Horn of Africa. Bill Taylor, Vice President of the U.S. Institute of Peace.
Across the Horn, defense spending is growing. Since 2005, total defense spending across the African continent has increased by 91%. And due to a lack of documentation and transparency, many of these institutions are largely exempt from scrutiny or accountability.
Alex D. Wall is the author of The Real Politics of the Horn of Africa. He spoke extensively on the crisis in Sudan, including the Darfur region, where he met the late Maghzouba Khalifa, the Sudanese party manager and chief negotiator in the Darfur peace talks held between 2005 and 2006.
He was a retail merchant in the field of politics, and what he used to say was what is important in politics is having the political budget, Sanduq al-Siyasi, the political pocket, the money that can be dispensed without needing to be accounted for.
USIP panelist Manal Taha told the forum that one of the peace negotiators in the Darfur conflict, Abdul Wahid, negotiated his price for loyalty after receiving a phone call.
He received a phone call during the peace negotiation for Darfur peace talk, and he said that they offer me $30 million, but I will negotiate for $100 million.
Alex D. Wall, who once served as a member of the African Union delegation, has been involved in political processes across the continent. He said what's driving conflict in the Horn is not guns, but political money. Brad Brooks Rubin, Director of Policy for the Enough Project, also gave his views on how to prevent fueling further conflict in the Horn of Africa.
Most of the discussion around sanctions when it comes to Sudan and the Horn is limited to the comprehensive form that we have in place related to Sudan, which is really a vestige of older models, or asset freezes and travel bans that are placed on certain individuals.
Panelists recommended stiff measures, including transparency and accountability within governments, without which political conflicts in the Horn of Africa and elsewhere on the continent will continue for a long time to come. Esther Githui-Ewart, VOA News, Washington.
Turning to the race for the White House, Donald Trump has secured his status as the Republican frontrunner leading into next week's crucial Super Tuesday, voting in more than a dozen states. Trump has won 3 of the first 4 contests, and recent public opinion polls show him ahead in the majority of the Super Tuesday states. Trump's win in Nevada on Tuesday garnered his first congressional endorsements on Wednesday. Marco Rubio solidified his position as the Republican alternative to Donald Trump by securing several key party endorsements. Now, Ted Cruz, who is running neck and neck with Rubio, says he looks forward to returning to his home state of Texas, one of many states voting on Super Tuesday after his third-place finish in Nevada. On the Democratic side, Hillary Clinton has momentum heading into Saturday's South Carolina primary after defeating Bernie Sanders in Nevada. Well, we want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54. And check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Find me on Twitter at VOA Vince Makori. Well, coming up, new study aims to empower women to protect themselves from HIV infection. Stay with us. Well, it's time now for a health report, and joining us now is Africa 54 health correspondent Lino Madu. Hello, Lino.
Hello, Vincent. The U.S. health officials say infections of the cancer-causing human papillomavirus, or HPV, has dropped by 64% among teenage girls and young women since the vaccine became available a decade ago. Researchers from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention used data from the U.S. National Health and Nutrition Examination Service to compare rates of HPV infection pre- and post-2006 when the vaccine was made available. Among girls aged 14 to 19, the infection rate dropped from 11.5% in 2003 to 2006 to 4.3% from 2009 to 2012. Similar rates of reduction were seen in women aged 20 to 24, showing a drop from 18.5% to just above 12%. HPV has been known to cause cervical cancer as well as cancer of the head and neck. In another research, scientists say women who inserted a vaginal ring coated with an anti-AIDS drug once a month were partially protected against HIV infection. The Aspire HIV protection study looked at whether a silicone vaginal ring that continuously released the drug Depavirine could protect against HIV infection. The ring was replaced every 4 weeks. Starting in 2012, the study enrolled 2,600 women aged 18 to 45 years who did not have HIV, but who were at high risk for HIV infection. Data collection continued until September 2015. One group of women received a ring containing 25 milligrams of Depavirine, and a control group received a placebo ring containing no medication. Participants and their partners also received a package of HIV prevention services at each study. The risk of HIV infection was 27% lower overall among women using the ring, and it was 61% lower among women aged 25 years and over. The ring offered little or no protection to women under 21. The large clinical trial involved 15 sites in Malawi, South Africa, Uganda, and Zimbabwe. The Aspire study was conducted simultaneously with another one, the Ring study. Both studies were presented Monday in Boston at the annual conference on retroviruses and opportunistic infections. Joining us now by phone from Boston, Massachusetts, is Dr. Tesla Palani-Phillips, Aspire Study Protocol Co-Chair and the Director of Network Trials with WITS Reproductive Health and HIV Institute in Johannesburg, South Africa. Dr. Palani-Phillips, welcome to Africa 54.
Thank you very much.
First of all, what do you make of these results in terms of the efficacy of this ring?
This is an incredibly important step forward in HIV prevention. Aspire and the Ring study each found, as you've mentioned, that the monthly Dipivirine ring can safely help protect women against HIV infection. Now, both studies showed statistically significant efficacy for the ring, and in Aspire, we reduced the risk of HIV infection by 27% overall. By this, we mean there were 27% fewer women who acquired HIV in the group assigned to the Dipivirine ring, and in the group assigned to the placebo ring. And more importantly, our sister study, the Ring study, there was a reduction by 31%. Now, women between the ages of 18 and 45 were included in the trials. In Aspire, we showed a greater level of protection for women over 21, where we had 56% reduction. And this was supported by a trend in the Ring study, exhibiting more protection in women in that age group at 37%. Now, it's critically important for us to understand that given the high incidence rates in both our studies across all age groups and the lack of different and practical options currently available to women globally, we feel that our results can be a game changer for HIV women prevention.
Now, how did you ensure the safety of the participant, especially the group that received the placebo product which did not have any treatment?
So it's critical to understand that these are randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled trials. And what we mean here is that, people in the placebo group are treated the same as people in the active group. So in order to do this, we do not disclose who is in which arm of the study. So whatever happened in the women that were assigned the placebo happened in the same way for the women that were given the active drug. And neither the study staff nor study participants knew which arm they were allocated to. In terms of the standard of care package that we provided to people, they all got HIV testing, counseling, treatment for sexually transmitted infections, and the provision of male condoms, regardless of the study arm. We also offered male partners who were willing to come into our clinical trial sites free HIV testing and STI treatment or referrals for care to local services so that we could optimize the number of people that actually got treated within the trial.
And quickly, Dr. Tesla, what's next with the ring then?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
What's next for this study, given that phase 3 is very advanced in terms of testing and researching for treatment or drugs?
Oh, great. So to potentially get the ring into women's hands, we must first seek approval for its public use by global and national regulatory authorities who review a comprehensive dossier of scientific evidence to make their determination. The International Partnerships for Microbicides, the IPM, who's the regulatory sponsor of the ring, plans to seek regulatory approval for the Dipivirine ring's licensure based on the results of these two large trials. And so we're hopeful that in the near future, this ring will be licensed. In the interim, people that were taking part in these two trials, we're undergoing some regulatory approvals to give them access to the active Dipivirine ring in the form of what we call open-label extension studies.
Okay. Dr. Tesla, thank you so much for joining us today. And that was Tesla Palani-Phillips. She is the Aspire Study Protocol Co-Chair. That's our Africa 54 health report for today, Vincent.
Well, Lino, thank you very much. Now be sure to watch Lino Mudu's health reports every Tuesday and Thursday right here on Africa 54. Well, it's time now for a short break. Still to come on Africa 54, the newest trend in pre-wedding planning. We'll be right back.
If you've just joined us, I'm Mariama Diallo, and here is a quick recap of today's headlines. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon meets with political representatives calling for a credible election in the country. In South Africa, university students erupt in violence over race-related language and educational policies. In Somalia, more than 4 people are dead in a mortar attack by the Islamist militant group Al-Shabaab in the capital, Mogadishu. Finally, in Niger, the opposition cites fraud in the results of President Issoufou Mahamadou and refuses the election outcome. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Welcome back to Africa 54. Here's what's trending. Now, the future is now at the Mobile World Congress show in Barcelona. This is the self-driving local delivery robot designed to roam the streets independently, delivering packages to people. Another gadget is the connected bike lamp. The lamp connects to a smartphone via Bluetooth and can then keep a track of where the bike travels. It can also track the bicycle if it gets stolen and raise an alarm if it senses that there has been an accident. Experts expect the so-called Internet of Things tech trend to consume homes in the coming years. Now, according to research from Gartner, over 6 billion connected things will be in use worldwide in 2016, an increase of 30% from 2015. Well, next up, jeweler to the stars Neil Lane has been helping actresses shine brighter on red carpets for nearly 25 years. And even with 25 years' worth of experience, he says he never feels ready. Lane says celebrities borrow jewelry instead of purchasing because it's about creating a historic look or a red carpet moment in time. Lane added to his list of hits when Lady Gaga won a Golden Globe wearing stacked diamond and platinum raffle card bracelets and matching pair of emerald and baguette cut diamond and platinum bracelets with 150 carats worth $1.5 million and $2.5 million 40-carat cushion diamond and pear-shaped earrings. Well, and finally, just popping the question is no longer enough. 2016 is a leap year, which means February will have an extra day. And on that day, the 29th, women traditionally propose to men. In the U.S., there is a growing trend to make the proposal as elaborate as the wedding itself, prompting many to enlist the services of a wedding proposal planner. Now, the desire to wow a spouse to be with an extravagant romantic proposal is turning wedding proposal planners into the latest trend in the $48 million wedding industry. Develop the ideas, handle logistics, arrange flowers, photographers, and videographers, where they also coach the client with speech, wardrobe, and even quirky or over-the-top requests. And that is what is trending today. Well, and that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com for more news. Tune in to VOA's evening radio show, Africa News Tonight at 1800 UTC, and in the mornings to Daybreak Africa between 0300 and 0600 UTC, Monday through Friday. Thanks a lot for watching. From all of us in Washington, have a good night.
Welcome to English in a Minute. Here's a colorful expression we use often in American English.
Out of the blue.
How can you get something out of a color?
I just got a message out of the blue on Facebook from my ex-boyfriend, Vladimir.
Oh boy. When was the last time you heard from him?
It's been like 5 years.
And he contacted you just out of the blue like that? Weird.
The expression out of the blue is used to describe any event that happens unexpectedly. There is no warning or time to prepare. The word blue in the expression refers to the clear blue sky. In our example, Anna was surprised by an out-of-the-blue message from an old boyfriend. And that's English in a Minute.